Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and folks, we are broadcasting from inside Renaissance Bank in beautiful Alpharetta. And if you're looking for a bank that's ranked in the top 10 of banks nationwide by Forbes magazine, and that comes from a survey of actual customers, Renaissance Bank is your bank. Go to renaissancebank.com and find one of their local offices and give them a call. I think you'll be glad you did. I know I'm glad of my affiliation with Renaissance and the work I do with them, and I think you'll be happy with that too if you're looking for a better experience for your banking experience for your business. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Kyle Waide. Kyle is the president and CEO of the Atlanta Community Food Bank. Kyle, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, John. Great to be here.
Hey, it's great to have you, and thank you for your work. I'm going to say that again, but thank you to you and your team for your work. And let's give everyone an introduction to the Atlanta Community Food Bank for those that don't know what you're up to.
Sure. So the Atlanta Community Food Bank is one of the largest hunger relief organizations in the country. We work hard every day to go out and get food and other resources, donated food that we buy, food that we get through federal support. And we supply that food to a network of close to 700 community-based nonprofit organizations across 29 counties in Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. Working together, our partners and the Atlanta Community Food Bank provided last year more than 90 million pounds of food, about the equivalent of about 80 million meals, to 600,000 to 700,000 people across North Georgia.
Those are staggering numbers, and I think a lot of people that even are active with and give to the Atlanta Community Food Bank don't realize how big of a food bank it is. One of the top in the country, right?
Yeah, so we're part of a network of about 200 food banks across the country that all together make up Feeding America. That's our national association. And we're certainly one of the largest food banks. We have the largest facility in the country that we just moved into in March of 2020, which was fortuitous. We moved in right ahead of the pandemic, and it really gave us more capacity to respond to that crisis. But yeah, the scale of the operation is something that's always eye-opening to people who come here. One, I think they're just interested in as they walk in and they see this facility that looks like Amazon distribution center or something like that. But then two, I think when they start to connect the dots and they realize that, oh, well, the reason why we have this huge facility is that the need and the problem is as large as it is, that there are so many people who are confronting food insecurity in their lives, who don't always have all the food that they need, and that we need this large a response to deal with that problem, I think is eye-opening to the people that we engage here as volunteers and as donors.
You mentioned, Kyle, the wide geographic area that you cover, and I think maybe a lot of folks might think that food insecurity is something that's a particularly urban problem. But one of the things I noticed recently was that the number of homeless students in the suburbs of Metro Atlanta is up almost 20% year over year, according to the statistics, which tells you something, right, about how widespread food insecurity is in the Metro Atlanta, North Georgia area.
Yeah, I think food insecurity really is a problem that exists everywhere across our region. It's not isolated to certain parts of the region. We have actually seen sort of more significant growth of food insecurity over the last 20 years in suburban communities compared to urban communities. We've seen a real growth in poverty and food insecurity in kind of the suburban ring around Atlanta. And there are a lot of reasons for that. I think the most important reasons, and this is certainly timely right now, is just that the cost associated with trying to raise a family and get by today have increased significantly over the last really 40 years. If you think about the costs for housing, for healthcare, for childcare, all those things have gone up really in significant ways when for many workers, incomes have not gone up at the same rate. And so there's just increasing amounts of pressure on families that make it hard for them to afford all of their meet all their basic needs with their resources. They need more help. And so the demand on the food bank has increased as that challenge has accelerated.
Folks, we're chatting with Kyle Waide. Kyle is the president and CEO of the Atlanta Community Food Bank. Kyle, I want to take a little bunny trail run if we can and talk. I want to talk about you and talk about your passion and why you made a career out of this. I mean, you were with the food bank prior to becoming president and CEO. Talk about your journey.
Sure. So, I've been with the food bank now 10 years. It's the longest I've ever worked anywhere. And I'm really lucky and privileged to be here, to be part of this effort. I think what brought me to this work personally is, I grew up as a public school kid in a small town and in the South, graduated from high school in Mississippi. And, the kids I grew up with there, my family didn't have a ton of resources. We had enough. We always could get by. But there were friends of mine, teammates of mine on different sports teams who often struggled to get all the food and basic needs that their family needed. And those kids, also, I think, enjoyed access to fewer opportunities in school. I think we've seen in the way their lives have played out that they had that access to opportunity influenced what their long-term outcomes turn out to be in terms of what their lives have turned out to be. And there was just a fundamental sort of sense of unfairness about some of that for me as a kid, that too many of my schoolmates, my friends, kind of the die was already cast, for them early in life. And I wanted to be involved in helping to level the playing field a little bit and connect people to more opportunity to have a better chance in life. And the food bank is a way that I've been able to do that professionally.
Thank you for that. That's terrific stuff. Let's talk about the nonprofits, both locally and regionally, that you work with, and talk about why it's so important that you exist to help them acquire the food resources they need to serve their clients and constituents.
Sure. So, the food bank is just an incredible model in that we make it really easy for donors to know where to send financial donations and food donations if they want to impact access to food and fighting hunger in our region. I can call the food bank. And at the same time, we have this decentralized network of community-based partners who really understand what the needs are in their local communities, in their local neighborhoods. And so the food bank is able to go out and get resources and then very efficiently route those resources, primarily food, to those organizations so that those organizations can stay close to the need that's in their, on their block, and know what that looks like and know how to respond most effectively to it, but enjoy the benefits of scale that the food bank can bring to them, that we can operate more efficiently and really keep their costs down. So our model just helps ensure that those really small grassroots organizations can be more effective and more efficient than they would otherwise be if they were trying to go and find all that food on their own and try to find all those financial donations on their own. It would be a lot harder for them to operate.
Sure, and let's be real clear about the bottom line part of this. I mean, it gives them more resources to put back toward those they serve, as opposed to, like you say, putting that all toward food acquisition costs that could be a lot higher if they were working with you.
Yeah, I think for us, the name of the game is how do we really maximize the productivity of all the resources we get. We want to operate as efficiently as possible. For every dollar that's donated to the food bank, we want as much of that as possible to go toward serving the people who need our help. And we know our donors expect that, and our community deserves that. So for the organizations that we work with, our partners, just the investments we've made in our capacity and capability means that we can get those resources more efficiently to them, and they can spend more of their time and resources serving the community.
Now, it also, the way you're structured, it gives folks that want to donate to attack this problem of food insecurity that is so widespread one central place to do that. And you've attracted a wide variety of partners, both corporate, small business, individuals that have supported you over the years.
The food bank is really blessed by a broad base of support, both in terms of our food supplier partners. We have great relationships with manufacturers and distributors of food, both locally and around the country, with farmers, with retail grocery store chains, and on and on. We have great partners there. We have tremendous relationships with our donor base financially. We have about 50,000 donors who support us financially at the food bank, close to that number. And a lot of them are just, writing us relatively small donations, but they all add up to a tremendous amount of support that makes our work possible. And that support, is critical to our ability to do what we do. Demand for food assistance continues to grow. We saw it really peak during the pandemic. It started to pull back last summer and kind of continue to decline as we went through the year. But this year, as inflation really kind of took hold, we've seen a steady amount of growth every month in the number of people who need help. And we couldn't respond to that if we didn't have all that broad base of support.
For sure. You have got a recent initiative, speaking of one of those donors and supporters, you've got a recent initiative with Kroger that is an important one for you.
Yeah, so Kroger just made a significant contribution to support our work at the food bank. I think Kroger's an example of a partner that is, first and foremost, they're a food partner, right? They donate a lot of food to us. We and our partners go and collect food donations at basically every single Kroger grocery store across the region, and get that quickly out to people who need it. So Kroger's a tremendous supplier of food for the food bank. And then on top of that, they support us financially very generously so that we can continue to invest in innovation and invest in our capacity to serve more people. And so Kroger's contribution is helping us get more food to more people more often so that we can make a bigger difference in their lives.
That's terrific. Kyle Waide, folks, he's the president and CEO of the Atlanta Community Food Bank. So, Kyle, let's give maybe a heads up on some future events you have coming. I think there's the Georgia Accounting Food Fight. That sounds like some fun to me.
Well, we've had some success in the last few years at building what we call industry competitions, fundraising and competitions, where participants in a particular industry segment from different firms or companies within that industry kind of all get together and compete with each other to raise as much money as possible for the food bank. And so coming up right now is the Accounting Food Fight, which is going to engage lots of CPA firms across the region to get their partners and employees making contributions to the food bank. And then, we'll have different categories of winners for within our region and across the state, for big firms, small firms that are all helping to fight hunger in our community. And we have similar competitions in the legal community, in the technology community, in the financial services industry is a new one for us, in the apartment industry. So we've got some great sort of industry competitions that help us just find a creative way to engage lots of people to support our work, and more importantly, to make a difference in reducing hunger in our community.
And so much of what you do, this is terrific work in terms of fundraising and the collection of resources, food resources. But so much of what you do that's so important is education, right? It's educating people to what the problem is. Yeah,
that's a great point. And our mission statement at the food bank is to engage, educate, and empower the community to fight hunger. And what's interesting about that mission statement is, when you think about it, the food bank is a pretty large food distribution operation. I don't know exactly how we would rank in just in terms of business size, but we're the equivalent of about a $250 million company in terms of the volume of food we're distributing just within our region. And so we're a big food distributor, but that mission statement doesn't say anything about warehouses or forklifts or trucks or food, even for that matter. The mission statement is all about community engagement. And the reason for that is that we recognize that if we're really to eliminate hunger in our community, if we're really to solve food insecurity, it's going to take a lot more people and many more solutions than just what the food bank can do directly. We've got to bring lots of people to the table, help connect them with different ideas and ways to make a difference, and then get them empowered to go do those things. That's what our real mission is to get people to the table, invested and engaged in the issue of food insecurity, and give them knowledge and resources to go make a difference. And I think that model of community building is what makes the food bank special, and it's what makes us effective.
Well, Kyle, I can tell you how much how proud I am to have you on the show to highlight the great work that you do. I'm involved with several organizations that benefit from the Atlanta Community Food Bank and your work, and so I know firsthand what you do, and we're just so grateful to you and your team for the the fight you're in and what you're doing every day to fight food insecurity in our area. So thank you.
Thank you, John, for having me. You know, we can't do our work at the food bank by ourselves. We need support. We need volunteers, and we need folks like you out there telling the story because it remains a big challenge, and it's also true that we believe we can solve it if we all come together.
Amen. Kyle Waide, folks, the President CEO of the Atlanta Community Food Bank. Kyle, before we let you go, I would like if you would give folks directions if they'd like to know more about your work and certainly where they can plug in, whether it's donations or volunteering, how they can do that.
Sure. The best way to get engaged is just to start by going to our website, ACFB, that's Atlanta Community Food Bank, acfb.org. And there you can figure out how you can volunteer. You can find out how you can make a financial donation. You can identify one of our partners, partner agencies that distribute food in your local community, where you can get engaged there. So there's a lot of resources there at the website. That's the best first place to go to get involved.
Kyle Waide, the Atlanta Community Food Bank. Kyle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, John. Look forward to talking again soon.
I look forward to that too. Thank you. Hey, folks, just a quick reminder as we close down the show today. A&S Culinary Concepts is located in Johns Creek, and they do some terrific work in terms of corporate catering, and they've got a great culinary studio, but they're signing up folks now for their Big Green Egg boot camps. And if you're interested in learning more about that, and I suggest that you do learn more if you've got a big green egg or want one, call Executive Chef Andrew Traub at 678-336-9196 or go to asculinaryconcepts.com. And folks, North Fulton Business Radio, we just celebrated our 500th episode. We're excited about that. We've only gotten here because of your support, so thank you for supporting us in the way you have. Here's my ask. I'm continue to ask this. Please share the show. That's what we're all about here, is celebrating the work of great business and community leaders like Kyle, and we want their work to be honored, celebrated, and found. So if you could please help us share the show, help them by sharing the show, I would greatly appreciate it. So for my guest, Kyle Waide, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.